right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, we are here with one of my personal favorite hip-hop MCs to ever grace planet Earth. We got the one and only, we got East Coast finest, we got MC Shan live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm chilling, and as you can see, I'm in the backyard. So if a motorcycle or two passes by while we're doing it, just pay that no mind. We'll just get right back where we started.
Hey man, it's all good. It's motorcycle season. It's actually good to actually see that. It means the warm weather's coming. The bikers, they're always the first people to know when that season really kicks off.
Can't really tell by that. There's bikers that ride all year long. I'm just not one of them.
But I gotta ask you, Shan, because I know you're a very busy guy, man, and you have been for multiple years, but I gotta ask you, I want to take you back to the very beginning of your luxurious career within the music industry. Like, what actually made you decide to get into hip-hop initially?
Because hip-hop was the music of my generation. Before that, we listened to our mothers playing Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, Al Green, and all that on Sundays in the morning when it was clean-up day. That's what it was, but there was no music for our generation. You know, like now there's hip-hop for this generation. When they get into hip-hop age, they grow into it. You know, it's there for them when they're born. It wasn't there for us, and so it was something that was created out of young people trying to make an expression for themselves.
And I gotta say as well, though, in my personal opinion, Shan, you are one of the best individuals to ever do it. And I remember as well that you were actually one of the first individuals to actually have a record deal with Warner Brother Records. And I was wondering, how did yourself and Warner Brother get connected? And what was like that deal just for you, man? Because that's actually history making right there.
The reason why that happened was Down by Law was doing so well as an independent that Warner Brothers was watching. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? And actually, Cold Chillin', my label, was the first label to ever sign one of those major distribution deals.
Oh, damn.
So, and they sought us out, but it was because we had Shantae, we had me, but they didn't know about Biz and Kane. They heard of them, but they didn't have records out yet. But they knew that we was a strong crew. And they wanted in, and we were the first ones that got it, you know, we were the first ones to actually sell out our independent rights. You know, to do what we want when we want to do it. As an independent, you can put out a record every week if you want it. But once you became underneath their money chain, but that's what we needed to get to the point that we are now in hip-hop and in this culture. So we traded off. We'll use your money and your promotion and your reach around the world, and y'all can sign us to this deal, you know?
And also as well, the one thing I got to ask about that, because obviously being back in the day, you know, like, unfortunately, big labels signing hip-hop was very scarce. So did they treat you differently than they did like their normal individuals that were signed? Like, how did they treat like yourself as a hip-hop artist so early on?
Look, if you let them treat you well, that's what it was. I always was called the loose cannon. Shan is a loose cannon. You got to watch him because my mouth doesn't have a filter on it. I'm going to say what I'm going to say to whoever, whenever, whyever. That's why my career is where it went or whatever, but it's successful to me. I don't know what everybody else's measure of success is, but to me, I succeeded. Okay? But I have no regrets for nothing, and it is what it is.
And it's always the best way to look at things as well. Never have no regrets, you know what I mean? And like your entire career, Shan, you were just being 100% real and telling it like it is. A lot of people don't like the truth, but if they don't like the truth, screw them.
And that's not even it for me. It's just, this is who I am. I used to be called Shan Breakstone. There was a commercial back in the days with Breakstone. It's not ready yet. I'm just me. If you wanted frankness, ask Shan, because I'm going to tell you how I feel regardless to the fact. Listen, I'm not going to go to bed thinking that I should have told you this, and you're going to go to bed feeling all good good and glorious. So I just say what I say. I'm not, what would I say, imprisoned by the industry to where I have to be vocally perfect. I'm not being the usual asterisk using person that I usually be, but I'm not bound to that. I say what I want to say because I'm not looking for this person to do anything for me, and I can't say that because, so I've always been free like that, and I really don't care. I'm not bound to the industry like that.
And also, as well, I gotta say, first and foremost, my apologies on this question, because I know millions of individuals have probably asked you this throughout your career, but you are one of the songs that you are known for is called "The Bridge." That's actually produced by your family member as well, Marley Marl. And I was wondering, what's the story behind that amazing song, "The Bridge"? And of course, what was it like working alongside your legendary cousin?
Back then it was just natural because we were creating what we were creating. Nobody knew what they were doing. They called themselves producers, but Marley was the first one to ever take a sample. So now, with that being said, with us doing what we're doing, when we did the bridge was a cassette in Queensbridge Projects for 2 years before the world ever heard it. Yeah, they may have heard it play on Mr. Magic, Rap Attack, but we didn't think that nobody around wanted to hear about our projects. So it was just a cassette that was floated around Queensbridge. Queensbridge knew that song before the world 2 years earlier. And then we put it out. It just became a classic or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? But we didn't look at it like that. We made that. We came from tour one night, and there was a jam in the park. And Marley said, "Yo, Shan, let's make a jam about Queensbridge." So I wrote down a few names, spot points or whatever. And I did that record off my head. He played the beat. I did the song. We played it in the park. And once that came on, everybody went crazy. But even though the crowd went crazy, that's still Queensbridge. You know what I'm saying? So we didn't think that anybody wanted to hear it. So when we finally gave it to the world, the rest is history. And it also made people's careers. So.
And I gotta say, that is probably still to today one of the highest played East Coast hip hop joints, in my personal opinion, man. I still hear that on the radio and whatnot, still to today, man. So you guys most definitely made history with The Bridge.
The saddest part about that is I couldn't even concur with you because I don't see the royalties from that, so I can't even sit here and say, "Well, you're right." And since you're saying that, that means that the deal that I got into back in the ancient days wasn't the proper deal that I should have been into,
I gotta say though, I want to say my apologies. That shit, excuse my language, that shit actually happened to you back then, man.
You don't. Why are you saying your apologies? What are you apologizing for? First and foremost.
I gotta say though, man, artists like yourself, you deserve those royalties, man. You're the one that made the project. The record label just put it out.
Yeah, but why are you apologizing?
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I feel bad for you guys, man. That labels would just do that stuff to you.
You shouldn't. No, you shouldn't. Because it was up to us to understand that this was a business. Even though we were doing business with friends, our friends were doing business, and we was doing friends doing business. And so, whatever it was, you can't feel sorry for a person because they didn't do their due diligence to protect their own. But at that time, all of us that were doing this, it was just new to us. It wasn't even entertainment. It was something that we did to amuse ourselves in the projects and in the ghetto to just entertain ourselves. And us not knowing the business, we can't have people feeling sorry for us. Learn from our stories. Learn from our mistakes, because it takes a fool to learn from his own mistakes. but it takes a wise man to learn from the mistakes of others. Learn from our mistakes so you don't make the same mistakes, and you get to own your publishing and you get to own your masters. This is something that Master P has been preaching since the beginning, and nobody really has gotten it. All of this single individual sales things that people are doing on the internet really doesn't benefit them. It benefits the major corporation, because the little things that y'all are doing, we're going to put a commercial on your video anyway. Even if you ain't selling 50 million, we're going to still get money off you. So it's just what it is. And you can't feel sorry for us for not knowing our business and not doing our due diligence. Just learn from our stories is all I'm saying. Any of you artists out there that are doing this music, don't just think, oh, I'm the MC. You are the money. Anybody around you that is trying to be in your camp is getting paid from you. You are the boss. Without you and your talent, they have nothing to talk about. And understand that you need to know what part of the business that they do so that they can't pull tricks and wool over your head. Get your own lawyer, not a lawyer that's, sent to you by somebody else, I'm going to vouch for this guy. No, you get your own rules. And you won't fall into the same bag that me and many other artists out here have fallen into.
But also, in 1992, you actually collaborated with Canadian hip-hop artist Snow on the song The Informer. I was wondering, how did yourself and Snow get connected? And of course, what was it like collaborating with a Canadian hip-hop legend like him?
Wow, see, that was one of, are we on FM?
We are actually internet and FM based, but we actually are uncensored.
Tell you, I went to my favorite CBD spot, right? And Prince, Snow's DJ, ran into me. He said, MC Shan, I've got a white reggae artist that's come from, don't let him out here. I've got a white reggae artist that comes from Canada, and he does reggae. I say, sure, you right, whatever. Went about my business. 2 weeks later, he showed up with Snow. I went back to my favorite CBD guy, and it was like, I ran into him. He said, yo, here you go. He said that, Informer, somebody showing me how to blame. I look, keep on boom down. I couldn't believe this was coming out this white Irishman's mouth. From that night, we went to the studio and recorded Informer, and the rest is history. A lot of things were going on in my life at that time. A lot of things were going on in his life at that time. That the point that me and him coming together was a divine intervention, and we saved each other's lives.
And I gotta say as well, you guys had phenomenal chemistry as well together on The Informer. I just gotta say that.
When it's there, it's there. When it's there, it's there. When you got an artist that can actually listen to something that you're saying and take criticism, which Snow is, you come out with a product like that, because we came out with things like Sexy Girl, like he was singing regular singing words, not Jamaican, and then he came up with that I Will Do that was done with Buju and a couple of others, So, it was just something that was meant to be, because the universe doesn't give you things that are not meant to be. And that's not being spiritual. I'm just very, universal.
And also as well, Shan, going back to your question just a few moments ago, we are actually FM based, but we're also uncensored as well. So you could say whatever words you like, actually, during our interview segments.
No. But see, it's also good for me, because anybody that follows my Instagram or people that look at me, they don't think that I can conduct an interview or something intelligible without having a cuss word in between. And so every now and then I like to fuck them up, since you said I can say it.
But I gotta say as well, though, Shan, I gotta say, like, me being younger, I used to always look forward to seeing your interviews, man, because I gotta say, you were so deep within the hip hop knowledge and the hip hop culture, man. I've always enjoyed just sitting back as a youngster, just listening to your interviews.
You know, I just give you pieces of my life. And if anybody follows my Instagram, by the way, which is MC Shan with the number one, I just give my life's experiences. Some days I tell artists that, yo, what, you know, you're lacking in certain areas. I mean, my thing is totally all around. But the main thing that I show people is that I'm a father. I'm a family man. I got problems just like you. You know, I got baby mama that, you know, messes with my brain cells and things like that, but Shan still perceives through all of this. Shan is not rich, but Shan makes what he has going for him right now work to his fullest advantage. And anyone can do that. You know what I mean? Every time people look at people who are celebrities, you think that, oh, they're perfect. They're lonely. That's what they are, because they don't have anybody in their situation. They hide the fact that they're unhappy over here. They try and put on a face of everything is good with me all the time, which that is not true. And so they don't portray to the public that, oh, I got problems too, but I don't got no problem with that. When DMX passed, I put out a little bit of information that was, people may have known or may not have known about me, but you know what I'm saying? That's me, and that's what it is. I never try and hide anything, and if you don't like me, so what? Ain't no big deal.
But also, man, I gotta say as well, like going back a little bit there, aside from music here for a moment, you actually had a brief acting role in Steve Martin's L.A. Story as Rappin' Walter, man. I was wondering, how did you land that role? And of course, what was it like taking part in that particular film alongside Steve Martin?
You know what? That's funny. I was out there doing the video for it. Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. And they were scouting for a hip-hop artist to be that rapping waiter. I didn't write that. Steve Martin actually wrote that rhyme that I'm saying in the movie. And so they're out there scouting, and the first video shoot that they come up is with mine, with that Don't Mean a Thing video, if anybody's familiar with that. And they seen all the glamorization and all of this, and they seen about my pronunciation, and they, oh, he's a nice guy, let's use him. And so it was because of that video. I went back to New York. They flew me up. They sent me back to New York with the script. Okay, I'm going to tell you what we got to eat. We got Primavera pasta, 6 different kinds of meat. We got fried cuts. And I still remember the thing to the day. And so they sent me to back. I went back to New York with the words. And 2 weeks later, they flew me out. I got a chance to meet Kevin Pollock. What's the one? Something Sarah Jessica Parker before she was big, and a whole lot of people that was at that movie set. And it was real fun for me, and that was my only movie role. So you can't look for me in anything else but that.
But I gotta ask you as well, though, Shan. Say if someone actually approaches you and, like, say they're a Steve Martin fan or something, and they're like, "Hey, you know, Shan, like, we'd love you to, like, reprise your role in, like, in a similar movie role that you did." Would you actually accept a movie role, or is that something you don't really want to get back into?
Listen, if it got money attached to it, I got kids to feed and grandkids to take to Disney World. You think I'm not going to do it? All right. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. See you later, Chico.
And also as well...
Give him a hug. Give Chico a hug. Hold on, let me send my nephews and my niece home and get my kids in the house. They'll see you tomorrow, Chico. Y'all also know, like I said, when you see my Instagram, I'm a family man all day, and family first. And if you put your family first, you'll be happy.
And that's the best way to look at things.
You gotta go home with mommy. Don't start Uncle Shan while he's on the phone, okay? See y'all later. All right.
But also,
Shan... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Also, Shan, in 2000...
Hold on, give me 1 second. Hey, watch Coco Melon. Don't worry about the bug. I got them off. Don't worry about it. It got in because you opened the door. Now watch TV and leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Look, you hear him in the back. What? I'll get it, baby. Don't worry about it. I got this. You hold on. I hear you, Ethan. Thanks, Daddy got it. It's okay now. This is the realest hip-hop you're going to get ever.
Hey, but you know what? It just shows as well, man. Family does always come first, and you are truthful. You are completely 110% right about that, Shan.
All right, but see, as a father, I have to learn how, and an artist, and have to do interviews. I have to learn how to maneuver through the time and make time for all of this. You know what I'm saying? It's not y'all's fault. I got kids at home doing whatever. I still have to do what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? You have to know how to divide your time and make it work for everyone. And that's my job, period.
And also as well, going into the year 2000, you actually collaborated with punk rock group Sum 41 for their song Dave's Possessed Hair, It's What We're All About. And I was wondering, what's the story behind that, and what was it like just working with Sum 41?
You did your homework. My God, you did your homework. See, Sum 41, Paula, that was Snow's manager at the time, right? She knew Greg and what's his name? Well, she knew them, right? And so we collaborated as actual group called Icon. We did an album for Japan where me, Sum 41, and Snow were a group called Icon. Icon is coming and we're knocking at your door, and the trade-off was y'all show me how to record rock and roll music, and I'll show y'all how to rap. So that Spider-Man song that they had on the movie Spider-Man, rock, it's what we all about, it's what we live for, let's shout it out. I wrote that. The hook, anyway.
That's actually really cool.
And so, go ahead.
I was going to say that's really cool because I loved how Sum 41 really had the Beastie Boy kind of feel. If you listen to it, you could really feel like they took on the vibe of the Beastie Boys.
Now look, on this Icon album, they love the bridge so much. I have a rock and roll version of the bridge that Sum 41 played the music on. Sum 41 played the music, and they played rock and roll the bridge. Yeah. We did a rock and roll version of Queensbridge. Now, if you go on YouTube, you can find it. It's on my page, MC Shan, INC, MC Shan. You will find a rock and roll version of Queensbridge that Sum 41 and I collaborated on. It's so funny. You did your homework. That's all I can say.
I gotta say, I appreciate that, man. I remember when I was a kid actually picking up that record, and I remember saying to myself, I'm like, MC Shan and Sum 41, like, no freaking way, man. Like, I didn't believe it at first when I read the back, man, and then I listened to it, and I was like, oh, shit. Like, this is good.
I was staying in Canada at the time. When we did that, I was up in Canada for quite some time. No, stop. You're not getting all the styrofoam all over my house, my gosh. But I was staying in Canada at the time. You would always see me on Queen Street. I'd be at Remy's or wherever else I decided to go. And it's like, oh, no, Shannon must live here in Canada. That's how it is. 36 Deep Dean was my address.
But also as well, man, I actually heard in numerous numerous other interviews that you were actually supposed to be casted as the main character in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and I have to ask you, can you tell our listeners a bit more about that, and what made you not decide to not take that role?
It wasn't my decision. It was a decision of something that I said, because we all know the stories about how this industry is with the homosexuality and whatever else goes on, right? Well, I felt that I was kind of being pushed in a corner to some kind of degree. You know, but now look at it. It was a perfect match. The story was about Benny Medina, right? MC Shan was signed to Warner Brothers. He's a, you know, so let's clean him up. So that's what what's that? Let's play it again. Shan was like a cleanup of Shan, make him more presentable to the people. But still, what I did was call Benny Medina a bundle of sticks to his face. You know what? You're a bundle of sticks. From there, my career went downhill. So next thing they know, Fresh Prince was Will Smith. But I'm not hating on him or nothing. I'm just saying that this is my story and he's a part of it. I'm not going to change my story because of who he is, and he's my partner. I love him to death. But this is what it is with me. Now, if they tried to play me like that and I ain't go for it, 6 Degrees of Separation would not have been my first movie ever, period, is all I'm saying.
But also as well, man, one of my favorite records that you actually released is a fairly new one that actually came out June 2017, where it's called Bars Over Bullshit. I have to ask you, what's the story behind that phenomenal record? Because I noticed as well that is actually your first new studio album in nearly 30 years.
All right, but what you got to understand is that is a collaboration of tracks that I did over the years. When people were saying, Shan, you whack, Shan, you whack. Well, I produced Snow, so I didn't have to make records. And so a lot of that that's on Bars Over Bullshit is things that I just had in the vault and I did in the studio because I felt like it. You know, because remember, Snow was one of the biggest things across the country, period, in the world. So I made a lot of money. And so I didn't have to make these songs. And when people were saying you were whack, oh, this is what I was doing. When people were saying, oh, Shan, Chris crushed you. These are the songs that I was doing, but I didn't have to put it out in hip-hop because that wasn't my main source of income anymore. So whatever rumors or whatever went about, and that's it.
And I gotta say,
but I got a new joint out in 2021 called Bounce, though.
And I gotta say that song's a freaking banger, man. We've been playing that ever since you first sent it to us, and my God, Shan, people have been requesting that like no tomorrow. They were like, run that back, and I'm like, gladly.
I will. Listen, I gotta say I appreciate you for that, because me being in the era that I came from, to make something that's accepted by the people, as it's not like I'm trying to be this, I'm not trying to be that, I'm just trying to make a record that's funny and happy, you know? And this is what we're talking about, and just because I'm 55, don't think that I'm still not interested in booty. I'm not with this, women's booty. Let me clear that up. I'm still interested in women despite what these young men are doing nowadays. And yes, I like to see booty in my face, all that, whatever, let's go.
But I gotta say though, Shan, I gotta say though as well, man, there is absolutely no age within hip-hop. And I hate when people put an age on hip-hop, because you're right there is actually living proof, man. You're 55 and you could dance, you could literally rap, like actually MC circles around 99% of these new guys.
Right. But now here's where we come to where I look at today, right? And it's like, I'm 55 years old. I just witnessed the passing of DMX, who's 50. I just witnessed the passing of Rob Bass. I haven't confirmed that, but I've been hearing it. 51. I'm 55. So now I'm looking at everything the way it, you know, like, whoa, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? It's like, my mortality, I'm living a little bit different nowadays. I'm living each and every day happy. I don't care what people say about me. In the end of the day, bury me and write on my tombstone, here lies a man that was an asshole, but he took care of his kids and his mother. And that's all. I really don't give a fuck about nothing else anybody else says. You know?
But I gotta ask you, MC Shan, what is next for you? Because I know you just recently released Bounce, like we just talked about a few moments ago.
I don't know. You just seen me, well, if anybody was watching, you seen me build the party bus. I don't know. I have ADD. Okay? So I'm on to the next thing so quick that you should call me Mr. Nevermind, because I'll be like, yo, never mind. I did that. Never mind. I'm over here now. I don't know what's next. Bounce came out of the clear blue sky. You know what I'm saying?
But I gotta say,
it just came out the clear blue sky.
And I gotta say, it most definitely bounced right into our airwaves, man. And I gotta say, hopefully, you know, a few more new joints bounce into our airwaves as well, man. Because I gotta say, you still got it, Shan, and I'm really excited to see what's next for you.
I've got things, you know, and I can always sit down and listen to a beat and always create something. But there's a lot of people out here to say, oh, we looking for some real hip-hop, go ahead and make a new album. Meaning that Bars Over Bullshit album that you just mentioned, which I appreciate you for even checking it and mentioning it. But there's a lot of people that say, yo, Shan, wait for you put out a new album. They didn't have to buy it. All they had to do was stream it on YouTube. If you look at the numbers, I say that they were full of crap. You were just blowing smoke up my behind. Okay? Oh, Shan, wait for... Well, I put it out. It's free. There's nothing you have to pay. You don't have to buy it. All you got to do is stream it on YouTube, whatever. And nowadays, music is on streaming apps, right? That you get with a subscription.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so with this new record, I knew not to try and save it. See, a lot of old school heads like myself are, well, I'm not, but are stuck in this idea of selling music, individual CDs, blah, 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 blah. There are no more CDs. What it is nowadays is about streams. Forget all of that trying to sell physical product. When the last person you seen with a CD? That's ancient now. You have to give the music to the people. Give it to them. Give it to them. And this is what I did with Bounce. I gave it to every DJ that wanted it. I didn't give it to the regular people because they're not... Yeah, you can listen to it in your house, but if a DJ says he like it, that means a lot to me because the DJs are the ones that move the crowd. And if I made something that the DJ say, yo, I can move the crowd with this right here at a certain point in time, I'm good. So I serviced people and I gave the music away. Instead of trying to say, oh, I got this. No, the video is coming next, but I got to do things in steps. And that's one thing that old school artists got to understand. You got to give this music to these people nowadays. It's not about that. Give it to every DJ you know, every DJ you got any affiliation with, you know what I mean? That's how it works nowadays. That old way is not working, yo. Streams is it.
And when you actually re-brought back up Bars Over Bullshit, I just gotta say, my favorite joint off that record is actually Let's Bring Hip Hop Back, man. That is still my jam to this day. I drive around in the car and blast that shit because I love the meaning and I love the elements just behind that song. It's absolute fire and absolute truth.
I appreciate you. But if you listen to that whole thing, there's a whole different array of different stuff going through it. It's not all the same thing. You're not going to drop, well, I'm using old term, you're not going to drop the needle and the next song going to sound like the last one. Every song had its own characteristics.
But also, Shan, this is the time in the interview quickly, right before I wrap things up, that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves. Just a chance to give shoutouts to whomever they want to give shoutouts to, but most of all, Shan, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated everything the legendary MC Shan if they're not already doing so.
So, my Instagram, which is the only social media thing I use, and it's MC Shan with the number 1, not spelled out. And each and every day, I might give you something to be entertained with. Some days I'm not talking to you. But other days I am. So just don't think that I'm one of these perfect people that you think I'm a Professor Griff, that you always going to hear some straight, no, some days I'm on some fuckery shit, okay? Just because I sounded like I was, you know, a fairly good intellectual during this interview, you might not find that on my Instagram.
Hey, but at the end of the day, Shan, me personally as a fan, I just like the fact that you're keeping it 100% and real and just being you, man. You know, not a lot of people like real, but the real ones like real people, man. So you know what? Everybody has the haters, but everybody has the supporters as well. That just loves you for you.
Now, let me give people a thing that give haters any participation in their life. You're wasting your time. There's enough people that love you to where you shouldn't even worry about the haters. Concentrate on the people that love you and give them the attention that they need, because while you concentrating on the haters, you fucking leaving somebody that loves you out to dry.
And I gotta say, that's some real shit. But I gotta say, Shan, quick.
Why you hear me? That's why people hear me say what I say on my Instagram. I don't care about nobody's opinion. You can think what you want about me. That don't make me or break me. So what? Shut up and go follow somebody else. Move.
But I gotta say, Shan, first and foremost, man, before we part ways, I just gotta say thank you so much for years of amazing hip-hop, man. You personally made a positive influence on me growing up. You know, growing up, I listened to a lot of your music, and you always taught me to always stand up for yourself and never give a shit what other people think about you, man. So thank you for influencing me in a positive manner and just making dope-ass music for multiple years.
And thank you for letting me know that my life wasn't a total waste.
I gotta say, you are most certainly welcome, but I can tell you for a darn fact that I'm not the only individual that feels the way I do pertaining to your music. You most definitely touch millions of souls.
I appreciate each and every one of you that feels that way, and I'm glad that my life wasn't a waste. Like I said, other than me being a father, that's my best quality. But if I did anything outside of fatherhood that helped anyone, that's even more of an accomplishment to me. You know, it makes me know that, listen, when I finally do go to my final sleep, somebody's going to say my name in 10 years.
But I gotta say, Shan, thank you so much again. I won't keep you away from your family any longer, but thank you so much again for years of amazing music, and hopefully down the line we can make this happen again sometime soon. But for now, we're gonna keep bouncing rotation.
Whenever you want, however you got me now, you know how you got me, you get it again, alright? So, that's thank y'all, appreciate y'all for checking in with us, appreciate you for having me, because you could have had somebody else tonight, but you decided to choose me, so I appreciate you. Thank you for your patronage, and I'm out.
Most definitely, Shan. Have yourself a wonderful night.
All right, you too. Out.